What's up? Welcome in, everybody, to the Midway to the District podcast. This is the recap of the day two picks, the piece to the puzzle that we've added. Commando, right here. Teddy, how you feeling, man?
Man, we're back. We're so good to be here with you.
Yes, sir.
If you're tuned in, thanks so much for tuning in. We really do appreciate you.
Hit that like button.
We're having a lot of fun. We're having a lot of fun, Teddy.
Yes, sir.
We're really not here to try to blow this channel up or anything crazy, but we are putting in work and getting comfortable being on camera and all kinds of fun things. So we appreciate you watching in. We really do. I do want to ask you a favor. And yes, I am talking to you. If you're watching this right now, hit the like button, please. I'm not asking for much, but if you're watching the video, I want you to, you feel like you should hit the like button before you leave it. That would mean a lot to us and it would cost you nothing. If you've enjoyed these pods, thank you so much for watching, but please, do your part, hit the subscribe button and hit the like button. We'd really appreciate that. Also, we get tons of funny texts and, group texts and things like that. We would love to see that happen in the chat. So if you want to say that the tension is palpable, one that's absolutely hilarious.
Maybe not everything.
We were dying last night reading that, but throw those types of comments in the chat and kind of spark that discord.
Engage.
That would be so awesome.
Yes, sir.
But Teddy, we shot that pod after round one, and we gave some of our targets, and with the Bears, they had such that need on the D line. I asked you a question if you remember. Do you remember I said, because you guys had 60 and 63, and I said, hey, is it a non-negotiable to get someone on the defensive line? And you said it was non-negotiable. And well, guess what? You ain't negotiating with the vampire, Ben Johnson.
No, sir.
No, because he did not do that. And I know that has some of the Bears fans in a tizzy, but it was just an absolute wild day. We had so much fun. It was hard waiting from 7 to 71 for my Commanders, but I'm thrilled about who we ended up getting. But this draft... Yeah. Day two went in a different way than we expected. So tell me a little bit. You had the first pick. You had pick 57 in the second round. How the draft unfolded. What were you thinking? Give your reaction to that.
Yes, sir. So we had the 57th pick. D tackles and D linemen were just flying off the board.
Yeah.
I remember telling you in the moment, I was like, man, I don't really know who we would draft at this point for D line. All the guys that I liked were gone. Everybody I talked about, they were all gone before we even picked our second round selection.
So you guys had 57, and really it seemed like the run on defensive tackle, I believe, started at 49 with the D tackle that you had mentioned.
Yeah.
Who was he? Do you remember? He was one of your top options for the...
Caden McDonald?
No, not Caden.
Lee Hunter.
To the
Panthers.
Lee Hunter went at 49.
Panthers have had a great draft, by the way, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Panthers have been to Freeland, Lee Hunter.
Yeah.
Shout out to the Panthers, man.
Shout out to the Panthers.
Carolina.
One of my good friends asked me how they went, and if you know, you know.
Yes,
but I haven't been able to dive into the Panthers. Just us being camping, and we had very poor data situation was not ideal.
Nope.
So I haven't had time to dive in. But anyways, you guys did great. So maybe I can dive into a little bit of the Panthers draft as well. If there's demand for that, again, let us know. We
let us know in the comments.
We want to hear from you. I'm certainly willing to dive in and do some research. I love doing it. We love doing it, and I think we do it really well together. But anyways, that's beside the pause. That's beside the point. After that, there was a huge run, and we saw so many in the 50s. There was that run before your pick that so many of those tight ends that you had highlighted in the last pad, they went off the board, and you guys were kind of left to. What was your thought after that?
Zion Young, R. Mason Thomas. Deshaun Stribling as well.
But he went off early.
Derek Moore, all of them were gone within 20 picks to getting to us. So
right.
I honestly was thinking, I don't know who we're going to draft D-line. And we even discussed maybe we pivot. And that's exactly what I think the Bears did. They went Logan Jones, and the center from Iowa, 6'2", 7'8", 299.
Tell me a little bit. I think you got to give your dad some love out there because we had a conversation before, and he might have mentioned something about center. Sounds like
he did.
Your dad may know a thing or two.
He did, man. Right before I got off the phone with my dad yesterday, he said, "Don't be surprised if they go for center." He didn't say it in that country accent that I just made it sound like. It's got a little twang to me just now.
Yeah.
But he did say that, and that makes a lot of sense. You know, we've struggled securing the center position. We'll get into this later, but Ryan Poles addressed that too as well in his press conference.
So with that being said, once that run was taking place on the D-line, did you think that drafting a center was an option? What did you think?
I totally thought it was an option. I think that made a lot of sense because Bradbury, we talked about that in the other pod. He's like 31, 32, I believe, and he's a good center, but he's only under contract for one more year.
Right.
And we've had centers obviously retire on us, all these different things. So I think they just want to have a backup option.
Yeah.
Who this guy looks like more than a backup option to me.
Who did you guys end up drafting?
We drafted Logan Jones, center, 6'2", 7'8", 299. Really good prospect. I think he was ranked on many people's boards as the best center in the class. Yeah. I know he won a lot of awards.
Was he the first center in the draft selected?
I think so. I'm not 100% certain, but I think he was.
I think he was, yeah.
So, I think he makes a lot of sense, a ton of sense. He's an athletic center. As you guys can see some of these things up here, some of his numbers. Not the biggest center in the world, but he's also not the smallest. And he seems to fit. The film, I haven't watched a lot of film on him, but from what I did see, he's very aggressive and technical in the run game. He does the zone spread well. I think this is definitely a Ben Johnson pick all the way.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll just kind of scroll down where you can kind of just read his strengths and weaknesses, but it definitely seems like I can just see right here on screen, it says hit zone blocking landmarks to take the lead in first phase. Like that sounds like so much, Ben Johnson.
4-year starter. He's got a lot of experience.
Yeah, you can right here.
I do know he turns 25, I believe it said, so he's an older prospect for sure. But honestly, that may not matter. Linemen have long careers. Yeah. And a lot of guys we don't even re-sign after the rookie contract. So I think this is a smart, savvy move.
Yeah, I think that I just love what the Bears did in the first two rounds because you got to feel so good if you're a Bears fan because with Thieneman, you saw that he ended up falling farther than you expected. You got, the consensus second best safety in the draft at 25. And so you got to feel like you just stole a little bit. And then right here, we were talking a lot about this down there and just like when you see you have a plan A and you have a plan B and you have a plan C and all these general managers do. But a lot of times, like I would see Ron Rivera, like if plan A went, he wasn't prepared for plan B and he would make a dumb pick. And, I felt like you guys, the Bears, with that run going before 57, you guys were kind of led into a trap and we got to see, hey, is Ryan Poles or Ben Johnson, whoever's calling the shots, we're not sure. But are you going to reach for like someone that isn't valued there on the defensive line? Or are you going to have a plan B in place, pivot, get the top center in the draft? This guy can learn under the veteran that you have for one more year and then plug and play starter at a crucial position. This guy has like been starter for 4 years. I mean, he started 13 games as a center in 2022. Like we're in 2026 now.
Right.
He's an Iowa product. I mean, you love to get linemen from Iowa. Like it just was a really good process and a really great pivot point. I think so.
I agree with that completely. So, to me, D-line, offensive tackle were the two biggest needs next, in my opinion. Center was also a question mark, though. So, like you said, they pivoted off of that and they said, instead of taking a guy or reaching for a D-line or a tackle, why don't we just take the best center in the draft?
Right. And
address need 3.
I love it. I love it too.
I think it makes a lot of sense.
That's a sign of a good organization. Look, we've got a lot of PTSD. Your fan base has a lot of PTSD, and I have a lot of PTSD. So if you have PTSD, if you're wiling out about the picks and what you think is right, like, you are justified, right? Like, we had just terribly run organizations, but if you want to think bigger picture, which is what we love to do, like, we're seeing our franchises execute at a much higher level from a philosophical and team building perspective. We have professionals. Like, Ryan Poles is a professional. We watched his press conference. And like, I was just really impressed. By the way, he gives a lot of information, which is cool. I can tell that the Bears fan base, you are a harsh fan base. He always feels like he's got to defend himself, but it's cool being a fan and watching his presser because he feels like he needs to defend himself. This is just my opinion, and I think yours as well. He is going to back up why he did what he did, and he gave really good reasons. What did you think of Ryan Poles' presser when you were watching him?
Yeah, I think he gave good reasons for why he did what he did. I like you said, I could tell. I think he had D linemen on his mind.
I think so too.
Like, you could tell he was frustrated that the guys didn't fall to the board. He mentioned something about that. He said it's easy to pick at the top of the draft. It's not so easy at the back end.
Right.
And he said you can just reach for needs and force that to happen, or he can be. He said make the smarter play.
Yeah.
Take the better play.
He had one statement where he kind of flexed. On the fan base about reaching for need, and he basically said, like, that's not how you build a team long term.
Right.
And he's exactly right. Like, that is exactly how teams crumble, is when they reach for need. At times, you got to do positions of need, but center is a huge position.
Huge position.
Any other takers from the presser? Or?
Yeah, just to tie in the other picks, because he talked about the other picks in the presser. We had Sam Rouge. I got to figure out how to pronounce that name. Big guy from Stanford, 6'6". I don't think I have his weight right here. I think he's like 270 pounds though.
We'll dive into him a little bit more.
That's part of the moves that he was talking about though.
Yeah.
Still didn't see what we liked. So we had the 57th and the 60th. We traded back into the 3rd.
So, question for you. How are you feeling? So, at this point, you drafted Logan Jones, which might have taken a moment to appreciate. Got to kind of wrap your heads, especially when you're fixated on maybe defensive line. But then when you don't get the defensive line and then you end up trading back from 60 to 69, how are you kind of thinking? And then leading up to drafting Sam Rouge, which was a total wild card for your fan base, I think, for me at least. So kind of, how are you thinking? You weren't expecting center, tight end.
Nope.
What's your mentals at now?
Yeah, so when they traded back again, for the longest time, I didn't even know what the compensation was. We only found out this morning, actually.
We didn't have data.
It's like, what is going on? I was like, what is going on?
We had data for one device and one device barely. So we traded back, and then obviously we got the tight end. I was very confused. My first thought was like, are we trading Cole Kmet? What's the reason for this? But as I've thought about it, as I cogitated on it, I think what they're doing and what makes sense to me is they're going to have 3 tight ends. I actually don't know that they're going to trade Cole Kmet. I think they're going to utilize a very run heavy play action scheme. They got the center. He's great. He's a great run blocker. They get a run blocking tight end who's very athletic as well. I think we got to pause there for just a second and not like just run over the fact that he is an extremely good, I think the best run blocking tight end in the NFL draft. I mean, look at him. He's 6'6", 267 with 10-inch hands. I mean, those are the size of Sonny Styles. His athletic score is an 88. Talk about his athletic score a little bit.
Yeah, what you see on the screen here, a 4.740, 1.61 10-yard split. For those who don't know, that's incredibly fast. That shows he has a very good acceleration. 38.5-inch vertical, insane. I mean, the guy's 6'6", and he's still jumping that high. He's a weapon. He can be utilized in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be a sneaky threat. I know I think I read his stats briefly, like he has a very high yardage per reception, which tells me he blocks, and then he fades out. They'll play action. They'll throw it to him deep because he's got the speed to beat you deep.
Right.
So that's my take on it.
Yeah, I mean, look at this second point. I think that Lance Zierlein writes these up for NFL.com, but it says relied on as an extension of the offensive line at Stanford.
That makes sense.
And as a Commanders fan, like we've got John Bates. And John Bates is like one of the best run blocking tight ends in the National Football League. And it's such a joy. Like, dude, so many of our explosive runs with Bill last year and then also Chris Rodriguez, I can't leave him out. But mainly Bill was John Bates in just moving men. And that's just so important to have that piece. Now, look at your tight end room. It looks so complete. Tell me a little bit about, I know that people are saying, hey, what does this mean for Cole Kmet? Now you've got 3 in the room, at least. Tell me your thoughts around the tight end room and what they should do moving forward.
So that's a good question. It's hard to say because I don't know what Ben Johnson has in mind. But it seems like if they're going to keep all 3, we're going to have to run a lot of 3 tight end sets, obviously, or at least 21 personnel, or is that 12? I don't know if I'm getting those mixed up. I think it's 21. Anyways, 2 tight ends out there, and interchange them a lot. That's what I think makes the most sense for their offense. It seems like we're going to be a run-heavy scheme. He wants to run the rock, and he wants to run more play action, and he wants to throw it deep. And I think you can do that with all 3 of these tight ends, especially Loveland. He's the obvious one, but Cole Kmet too. He can be dangerous going deep. So we have a lot of variability that we can do with these tight ends in regards to, I think, again, I keep saying, hitting it deep and running it.
So Cole Kmet, is he on the last year of his contract, or he's got to be coming up if he's not?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think he's got 2 more years. I don't think it's his last year.
Oh, okay. So with like 2 more years, you just drafted, another tight end. You got Loveland. Who knows if you're going to want to pay top dollar to him. Is this the right time to trade Cole Kmet, or are you wanting to stick with him?
I think we should just stick with him. I mean, he's honestly not that much against the cap. I think he's a great leader on the team.
Yeah,
he knows the system. It makes a lot of sense to keep Cole Kmet. I don't know how much would we get for him? What, a 5th round pick? I don't think it's worth it to get rid of him. I think it makes sense to keep him, and I'm almost wondering if Ben Johnson's getting like tight end drunk, so to speak. He's wanting to use even more tight ends in this offense next year. We shall see, but I think he's changing the offense a little bit. And it seems like it's getting a little more physical.
Gotcha. And
that's what he wants.
Gotcha.
This is what we get with Sam Roush.
Yeah, and like you were saying with Roush, like I think he caught like Roche.
No, you could be. I think.
Okay. Yeah, I don't even know. But
I don't know.
But I think he caught like 100 balls in like 2 years, last 2 years. So he actually, even though he's like 6'7" or 6'6", he can catch too. So I think he's going to mainly be a run blocker. But then, like you said, with the misdirection, with all the other weapons that you have, you could see him running up the seam or down the sideline. Mm-hmm. And you could see Sam Roush, just because the defense forgot about him. This dude looks like a lineman. He's an extension of the lineman. Up, play action. He's caught up the seam, and, he's a tractor rolling down, barreling into the end zone for your Chicago Bears.
And we saw a lot of that, in the Green Bay playoff game. Actually, there was a lot of play action where Colson Loveland would literally wheel around to the other side, or he's on the goal line and he blocked, went through the D line pretty much, and then snuck out the back end.
Yeah.
So I think Ben Johnson loves to do those type of things, and he makes perfect sense for that type of scheme.
So just real quick question. I just want a quick hot take from you here. Because in last year's draft, you were Tyler Warren and I was too, but I also really liked Colson Loveland. You know, I was telling you, no, dude, you got a really good one in Colson Loveland. You know, that playoff performance that Colson Loveland had, I mean, are you totally bought in? Like, are you a believer? Like, are you pumped? Like, what's your thoughts on Loveland now?
Yeah, that's a great question because I wasn't excited at the time. I was confused. I wanted Tyler Warren.
Yeah.
But I'm very happy and excited now. I'm a believer in Loveland now. I think he showed it. I mean, he had like over 140, 50 yards.
How could you not be after
it was
over
just every
100
play they just
yards?
kept throwing Loveland and they couldn't stop him.
He was unstoppable.
And it was just on full display, full shine. This is why Ben took him. And that's kind of like, I think what we're getting at too. Like he seems to have a plan.
I know, I can't lie. I'm like hoping no one in my dynasty football team like listens to this pod. So when I slip a trade offer for Colson Loveland, you know, they don't raise the rates on me.
My only thing with Loveland is if he can just stay healthy. I think he's had some injury, concerns and things. But if he can stay healthy and he stays in, he's going to produce well.
Yeah.
Kind of like a Travis Kelce-esque type of tight end.
Yeah, I love it,
receiving option.
Yeah, I love it, dude. So let's go ahead and get into the next pick. So this is the first one for your Commanders. But dude, how awesome is it? We ended up getting none other than Antonio Williams. But I got to put the camera back on us for a second because guess who predicted him on our last pod? Antonio Williams. We got it right,
yes,
bro.
Yes, sir.
We got it right. So before our last pod, we were just, prepping and showing some of our favorite. They were defensive ends mainly and defensive line for you guys, which obviously the Bears, pivoted and whatnot, which was cool. But anyhow, we studied a few of the receivers. So we brought to your attention Stribling, who went off the board immediately in the second round. So I was like, oh, okay.
He's gone.
I still had 40 picks to go or whatever it was. Math doesn't add there, but whatever. He was gone, and then there ended up being that defensive line run, which actually made the wide receiver run was delayed. Antonio Williams was like consensus like 51, I think, on one of the major big boards. And I heard somewhere that they were expecting like him to go like mid-second to like early third latest. So for us to be able to get him in the third round, and then we dove into the Stribling, Ted Hurst, and Antonio Williams is the three names that we brought to you on the last pod, and we closed it by predicting. I initially was on the, hey, I want the 6'4", so I thought, and I did say, and I was wrong, that I thought that Ted Hurst was going to be the pick over Antonio Williams, but I thought they were going to pick Antonio Williams because I was thinking they really wanted that, that height, that 6'4", to fit in the room and to get taller, because we haven't really had that. I mean, Noah Brown, is still haunting all of your memories, and I love it. But he was always injured, and he was 6'2", and he was cool, but he was cool. Right. He was 6'4". So, but I'm so happy because what did I say? I said Antonio Williams is my kind of receiver that I just love to watch. And actually, when we were watching all three of their tapes before the last pod, you ended up saying that you liked Antonio Williams the best. Mm-hmm. So tell me a little bit what made you love Antonio Williams when you were watching before we knew he was going to be the Commanders' third round pick.
Yes, sir. Antonio Williams. So what I liked about him, and I kind of said it a little bit on the last pod, was just his fluidity, his route running, how smooth he looks as an athlete.
He's a smooth
He'd run screens,
criminal.
He would run like 5-yard outs, digs, ins, posts.
Yes.
Like a receiver to run all these different kind of routes shows that the offensive coordinator has a lot of confidence in him. And the fact that I see so many screens tells me he is a threat with the football. I think he did punt return and kick return as well.
Yep, he
the
brings
guy
that
can
ability
really do it all, honestly. He's got all the traits. I'm really surprised, honestly, that he wasn't taken higher. You can see on the screen, too. I mean, 4'1", 39.5-inch vertical. They say he doesn't have burner speed, but I mean 4.41. His acceleration is.
What did you see? Like, how did the speed jump off the tape to you when you watched him?
So to me, it's all about like his acceleration and the way he can kind of just weave his smoothness, where he can go about 3 yards to the left or the right, but maintain that top speed.
Right.
That's rare to be able to do that, to have those type of wheels.
Yeah.
But I just noticed within 10 to 20 yards, he can just accelerate so
that
fast
mid-range.
into his top speed,
Yeah.
and then get out of his break and accelerate again. And that's what makes sense too with his savviness in route running, but also his acceleration, why he keeps separating so much. So I think it's going to be an easy target for Jaden, just in the sense that he's going to have a lot of separation. He's going to look wide open, be wide open, and that's helpful.
And we haven't had that in so long. Like, we haven't had that since Jamison Crowder 1.0.
Yeah.
You know, like Olamide Zaccheaus, like, thank you for your contribution. And you Bears fan know him. And, you know, I love me some OZ, but can we get younger? Can we get more athletic?
Right.
You know, I think part of the reason that he looks so smooth when he runs is exactly what you were talking about, that short area quickness. But he, it feels like when he has to do like a out route, like he doesn't have to slow down. Like, he's still maintaining such a high level speed, and he has that ability to cut while still maintaining that speed, which makes it look so smooth because he's still going so fast. And like, there's definitely aspects of receiver where you want to like tempo your routes, and that can be helpful. And I don't know how he's liking that. But there's also another thing about having really fast, long strides. And like, he's able to maintain that, and that's difficult to deal with.
It is.
Yeah.
No, I totally agree.
Yeah. So how crazy is it, bro, that we caught Antonio Williams?
Well, that is crazy. Because, I mean, the way the draft went, you got a lot of things actually, too. Because a lot of times in the second round, I can't remember the Bills. Who did they take? T.J. Parker from Clemson. You predicted that in the first.
Yeah.
You predicted the right players and the right teams at different times.
Yeah. I think the Texans early pick, I had their pick, that guy to them in the first round.
He's got the crystal ball.
No, I wouldn't say crystal ball. Pause. But I would say there was maybe a slight bit of redemption from the first round mock I had in the second round.
But man, pleased to have Antonio Williams though. So glad. Like you said, you wanted him. We saw him. He makes so much sense. And it came to fruition, man.
Yeah, like with a player like him, like I'm not gonna try to hype him like too much and be like, I guarantee you this guy's gonna be a success. There's an episode analysis on Antonio Williams from Perception Reception, which is Matt Harmon, who breaks down receivers. And it's a really good one, and I encourage you to check it out because he really goes deep into Antonio Williams, and like, it's like you can tell that he wants to love the receiver so much, but he's kind of in the mold of some other receivers that recently just haven't really panned out, you know, being like that 5'10" to 5'11" height, you know, not like, you know, not like sizes. Crazy athletic, but you know, it's just like Josh Downs is like a name who's like a success story, but there's a lot that kind of have also failed. So kind of like nervous optimism, but with him, I definitely see that there is a pretty high ceiling that he could achieve, and he could be really effective for us. I think it's a perfect fit with Brandon Ayuk. That solidifies it a little bit more to me, you know, because now you put Antonio Williams in the slot and you have Ayuk out wide.
Right.
And then we just have depth competition, which no Commanders fans, we don't love, but it is what it is. You know, look at our linebacker room.
Exactly.
So just absolutely thrilled about Antonio Williams. Think it was a fantastic pick. Adam Peters' presser is awesome. So dive into that if you haven't seen that.
One thing I want to hit real quick is you're talking about his size and prototype and how those don't normally pan out per se. Like, I need to like look more into that, but I know what you're saying. He like prototype is like 6 feet, 6'1", 6'2", 6'3".
Right.
A lot of those type of receivers, but I said last time too, and I still kind of feel like this makes sense. Isaac Bruce was actually like 5'11", 6 feet tall, 187, like the same size. We're talking. I know this is a lofty ceiling, But the mold of receiver that I see is like that speedy Isaac Bruce, Torrey Holt, that are kind of a mix of speed but also route running.
Right.
You know, they're not like a Tyreek Hill
Right.
speed,
Yeah,
but
good
they're
call.
just smooth route runners who create separation.
And he's
so
a-
that's
he's
what I see and envision
Yeah.
and hope when I see Antonio Williams.
Thanks for kind of giving people a comp. Like, I think that's kind of important to, you know, state who he reminds you of and what we can imagine in our system. And I think that's such a good call out. Such a good call out for me. Like, he's not I don't know, because I want to say that he reminds me of another Antonio, and it's Antonio Brown a little bit. And like, I'm not projecting him to be Antonio Brown. That's not what I'm saying. But just the way that the size and the way that he runs, I think Antonio Brown's probably a little bit more shiftier and maybe a little bit more explosive as well. But the ability to also play receiver, I think that's where I'm getting at. I think he can not just play the slot; he can also has the ability to play the. I think it's a Z. Is that right? Is it the Z position?
So.
Terry,
I think so.
Like, what was DJ Moore? Was he a Y, an X? He was an X.
They kind of, I don't know what, I mean, they put him at running back and then like all
Yeah.
different kinds of positions.
But the point is, I think he can play outside receiver too. I think he has that potential. Actually, when I was watching the AP presser, because in 2025 he played like 80% of his snaps in the slot. But what I heard was from the presser is in 2024 he actually played a ton outside, and in 2024, I'll just throw it on the screen. You can see it right here.
Lofty numbers, man.
In 2024,
11 receiving touchdowns.
75 receptions,
940 yards receiving.
12.1
12.1 per tote. That's some deep ball production.
And then right there, 11 receiving touchdowns.
Definitely a vertical threat.
Well, I mean, if you're thinking about kind of like the cons, like he can get vertical, but he's not going to blow the top off, you know,
You see a lot of screens
defense.
to him in space.
Yeah.
And go hit on that Antonio Brown point, though.
Okay.
Antonio Brown also played punt returner and kick return in college, by the way.
Which he does as well.
He does as well.
Wow, that's a good connection. That's a really good connection that you made there. I also think in like 2023 and 2025 he got hurt, so you see some inconsistencies if you look at his bio, with 2024 being that crazy year, but then he was also dealing with injuries the other 2 years that were less productive. And we know that Clemson was a shamble of an organization. So he was their go-to offensive playmaker on their team and the one that they trusted to make plays and whatnot, but he was on a very bad team. So I think there's a lot of reason for optimism around Antonio Williams. And
I think so too.
I think this is one of those picks that the more and more you actually watch Antonio Williams, the more and more you're going to get really excited. And by the time that preseason comes out and we're going to be so thirsty for football, we're going to be like, Antonio Williams is going to blow up.
He's the greatest
and whatnot.
thing
And I'm going to be
since sliced bread.
drafting him with my 5th pick in my dynasty league. Like, but yeah, so that was our only pick in the in day 2. I think we hit a home run, but we actually had 2 picks in 3, so we had 71. You guys already got Sam Roush, so that was kind of fun having you guys having 69 and then us having 71 as well.
Right.
And then you guys ended up having another pick, right?
Right, we got Xavier Thomas from LSU. Haven't seen a whole lot of film, just watched a little bit about him. He runs a 4.28 40, so he's blazing fast. 5'2" or 5'10" and 3/8. 5'2", that'd be bad. 190 pounds. This sounds kind of crazy, but I was telling you earlier that I kind of see him as a Devin Hester mold. That's what they're going for. Just a straight burner, throw the ball, punt returner, kick returner. Obviously, they put him at running back. I find it interesting that we traded away DJ Moore, and this guy does a lot of stuff in college that we had DJ do. I'm not saying he's going to be the DJ Moore replacement, but I think he's going to be this gadget-esque type in our offense.
So do you see him more like DJ Moore, or do you see him more like Devin Hester?
I see him more like Devin Hester. I see him more, he's going to run a lot of go routes, obviously, a lot of posts, a lot of deep things, screens. I think the route tree is going to be more limited, but he's definitely going to get the ball in his hands. And boy, am I excited to see that. 'Cause if you watch his tape, when he gets open,
his 40-yard dash on the
open
screen,
field,
4.28.
He came from LSU too. You gotta like that. I like that certainly. There's some of the highlights they're showing too at the bottom here. He obviously can create separation with how fast he is. I don't know that he's the most savvy route runner. A lot of people say we took him really high, and I agree. But we're kind of tying into the other picks that Ben Johnson and Ryan Poles made. It makes a lot of sense. Logan Jones, Sam Rouge.
What do you think that Xavion, which is an awesome name by the way,
like
Z-Man,
Xavion
Thomas. What do you think Bears can expect to get from Xavion Thomas year one?
Year one, I think we can expect kind of similar to what we saw from Luther, in the sense that they're going to get the ball in his hands, throw some screens, put him at running back. We're going to see him on punt return and kick return, obviously, a lot.
Yeah.
And I think we won't see him a lot in the beginning of the year, but as the year continues, you'll start to see him in more and more packages. Trick plays, throwing it to him. I could see Ben Johnson. He loves his trick plays.
Yeah.
And just get him the ball, get him in space, get him one-on-one with somebody.
Yeah.
Because they're not going to be able to stay with him.
Yeah, I really agree. I think that with Xavion, it's going to be a real slow. So I think the fan base needs to adjust their expectations accordingly, right? Mm-hmm. Like, you made such a good point about Luther Burden, how they, eased him in. Keep in mind that Luther Burden was, a first round talent, and you got him in the early second round. Xavion Thomas is a much later draft pick. He's a late third.
Right.
Late third round draft pick. So we were watching Poles' interview, and he was very, very transparent with the fan base. And
he said it was tough, I believe. The receiver room was tough.
But why was it tough?
I think the Ben Johnson is just demanding on his receivers.
Right.
All the stuff they have to do.
Right.
And it makes you wonder, even if they're just running the ball, when they go up to the line of scrimmage, do they have a couple play calls? Because sometimes teams do that. It won't just be one play. It could be 1, 2, and 3 based off what the defense does. And I'm starting to think that more and more. That's how their offense is.
Yeah. And what do we know about Ben Johnson? He's an absolute brain. He's the vampire with the brain. And so
he did major in mathematics.
Yeah. So he's naturally thinking on a higher level than all of us. And so anyhow, but the point is that this guy he's going to be a special teams dynamo. What you guys just got on your roster is an absolute elite special teamer. The fact that this guy can do kick returns and punt returns, he has 4.28 speed. This dude is a lightning bolt. He's a lightning bolt.
Ryan Poles did mention in his press conference though about the kick returns and how they've changed. I don't know how or what that looks like.
Well,
but
I think
that he mentioned it.
And I think last year what they did was they moved it to they moved it back 5 yards because they had moved it up 10 yards. I think they moved it back. Oh no. I'm sorry. What they ended up doing is they ended up saying if you kick it out of the end zone, you start I think at the 35. And so it encouraged teams to kick it in the landing zone much more often, which increased the amount of kick returns because for a few years there were no kick returns. No. Everyone was kicking it out of the end zone.
I hate that.
So he's going to have more opportunities to make an impact on your team. And we were talking a lot about roster and team building. We love that stuff. Yeah. And what I think was just so smart for a roster building, especially with Xavion Thomas, is if you want to draft an elite special teamer, you want to do it at the end of the third round.
Right.
That because the elite special teamers are really going to fly off the board fast when you get to the fourth. So if you get to the end of the third and you take your guy, you're getting in just before the run starts.
Right.
And that's what you guys did. So if you guys are able, like, you're getting me so excited talking about your draft, because if you get Thieneman, who's an absolute stud and beast and ball hawk and everything that you want, paired with Kobe Bryant, and then you get your center who starts next year. By the way, he's not going to start this year.
He could, though. People get hurt every year.
Let the veteran. No, I mean, Poles was clear, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Let the veteran start for a year. Don't put pressure. Hey, we need to be starting our second round. Don't stop. It's a center. They need time. They need to learn from veterans. They have so much responsibility, and you only have a second-year quarterback. Let the vet do it. Let him sit for a year, and then you've got your center potentially. I mean, he's a fantastic prospect for years. You get 2 starters of that magnitude, and then you throw in an elite special teamer. That's a successful draft to me. I love it. I love this guy. One other thing that I wanted to say, and I know I'm rambling on about about Xavier Thomas a little bit, but one also thing is I'm so juiced up about his special teams ability for you guys, and who knows that better than Bears fans with Devin Hester.
Devin Hester!
You guys should not be complaining about getting an elite special teamers. You guys had the best.
Right.
Devin Hester.
You are ridiculous.
Keep the party going with Xavier Thomas.
It makes sense.
Please and thank you.
I also want to add something little spice, a little something for you guys to think about.
Spicy.
For me, I love it when we had. This is what I loved about Devin Hester.
Yeah.
Usually on kickoff and punt return, you're going to grab the snacks, an extra a drink or beer or something like that.
Yeah.
You're not going to want to leave the couch on special teams when Xavier is out there.
No, you are not.
I noticed something down here that I found fascinating. I did not know this until just now. Apparently, he's a distant relative of late Pro Football Hall of Fame Walter Payton.
No way.
He's a relative of Walter Payton. Let's go.
No way.
The most famous bear of all bears. He's a relative. I mean, this is a dream in heaven, guys. This is what we want.
Yeah.
So, anyways, that's my...
Right here. Distant relative of Walter Payton.
That's crazy. That's my hype points on him. Why I'm excited what I'm going to be. So, we may not see him at receiver or a whole ton in the beginning. We are going to see him, though. Kick return, punt return.
Yeah.
So you gotta love the picks.
Yeah. Last thing. So this is the last thing, and I promise the last thing I'm gonna have about him is I don't want to just like with Antonio Williams, I don't want to put him in that box. I don't think he has to go in that box of slot receiver. I don't think Xavier Thomas has to go to the box of only an elite special teamer. I think that he does have the potential. One thing, he's so fast. He reminds me of someone who's like 5'5", 5'6", with just how fast he is. But he is 5'10" and 3'8". So, I mean, obviously that's not like tall, but it's also not like
short.
With his speed is really the point I'm trying.
Right.
You don't expect someone that tall to be that fast.
I think Hester was 5'10" as well.
So. Yeah. You're also going to see a lot like what you said. Ben Johnson's going to get creative with him.
Yes, sir.
It's going to be slow. He's not going to have a heavy snap count, but he is going to have design plays throughout the year where he can have a big impact as well. And you guys are going to take it super, super slow with him because he's raw and your playbook is extremely confusing. So don't look for him to have a heavy snap count for sure.
Especially early on, yeah.
Yeah.
That makes a ton of sense. Because again, we saw that last year with Luther Burden and Colson Lovely. So
yeah. Well, we had an absolute blast going through our picks. So we ended up having Logan Jones, the center from Iowa. That was the pivot for the Bears, which was fantastic. Y'all traded back from 60 to 69 with the Titans. You picked up the 144, so you got another pick. You got Sam Roush, the best run blocking tight end with pass catching, upside.
He does have speed too.
Yeah, I mean 4.7. That's like I'm not crazy about that speed, but
that's 6'6" though, 2.7.
It's true.
That's a freaking freight train.
I like the pick. He reminds me of John Bates, and You know, it's just like eating your vegetables. I know you love to eat your vegetables, but the rest of us don't. It's like drafting a lineman like Logan Jones and Sam Roush. Like, you guys as Bears fans, you ate your vegetables and you're going to be thankful for it. And then the Commanders got Antonio Williams. And then the Bears with the 89th picked the absolute spark plug. I mean, this dude has electricity flowing out of his feet. Xavier Thomas. So what a successful day 2 for our Commanders.
Total draft.
Your Bears. It's been an absolute blast shooting this. Again, just one last service announcement. Please, again,
hit the like, subscribe.
Please
Do it, sir.
Do it for me. Do it for this face.
Do it for the midway to the district.
That's right.
Let's go.
That's right. All right. Well, we had a blast. I hope you had a blast too. Till next time.
Till next time, guys.